You think you know what your car costs you? You don't. Most people think about the monthly payment, maybe the gas, maybe the insurance. But here is the actual number. Owning a new car in America costs around $965 every single month on average. Not just your loan payment. Everything combined. Depreciation, financing, insurance, fuel, maintenance, fees. Nearly $12,000 a year. For most American households, that is the second biggest expense after housing. And the painful part is this. Most of that money disappears permanently. Not into savings, not into something you own at the end. It just vanishes. This video is going to show you exactly where it goes, and then show you the specific choices that can cut that number in half. Here's why this hits so many people hard. The average new car payment in the US just hit a record $767 a month. But that is only the payment. Add insurance, that's another $140 to $200 a month on average. Add gas, add maintenance, add registration and fees. Suddenly you're looking at well over $1,000 a month for one vehicle. And here is the thing nobody tells you at the dealership. The car you are financing is losing value every single month while you are paying for it. You are paying interest on an asset that is shrinking. This is not bad luck. This is just how cars work. But most people never see it clearly because the costs are spread out and hidden in different places. The monthly payment feels manageable. The insurance feels separate. The depreciation is invisible. But add them up and you will understand why millions of Americans feel permanently stuck when it comes to money. The good news is that once you see the structure of these costs, the decisions that reduce them become obvious. Let's break this down simply. When you buy a car, there are really 4 layers of cost. Most people only think about one. Layer 1, the payment. This is what you borrowed from the bank. You pay it back monthly. It feels like the cost of the car. But the payment is not the cost. The payment is just one piece. Layer 2, the interest. Every month, part of your payment goes to the bank, not toward the car. If you borrow $35,000 at 7% over 6 years, you will pay close to $8,000 just in interest by the end of the loan. That is $8,000 that bought you nothing. Layer 3, depreciation. This is the one most people never think about, and it is the biggest cost of all. Depreciation means your car is losing value the moment you drive it off the lot. A new car drops about 20% in its first year alone. On a $35,000 car, that is $7,000 gone in 12 months. Not because anything broke, not because you did anything wrong, just because it is no longer new. Layer 4, the ongoing costs, insurance, fuel, maintenance, registration. These don't feel like they're related to the purchase, but they are. You bought the car. Now you are committed to all of these on top of the payment. Here is what it looks like in total. Over 5 years, that same $35,000 car will cost you roughly $8,000 in interest, $17,000 in depreciation, $9,000 in insurance, $12,000 in fuel, and $6,000 in maintenance. Total, close to $52,000 on a car you paid $35,000 for. The sticker price is what you pay to get in. Everything else is what you pay to stay in. Meet Sam. Sam is 29 years old. He lives in Denver, Colorado. He works in IT support, making $58,000 a year. About 2 years ago, his old car gave out. He needed something reliable. He went to the dealership and found a new mid-size sedan. The sticker price was $32,000. The salesperson told him his monthly payment would be $549 at 7.2% interest over 72 months. That sounded doable. Sam thought, $549 a month. I can handle that. He signed. What nobody walked him through was the full picture. Month 1, Sam owed $549 on the loan. He also paid $162 for insurance. He spent about $80 on gas. And registration fees added another $67 a month when spread across the year. So month 1, the real cost was already closer to $860. But here is the part Sam didn't see at all. In that first year, his $32,000 car dropped to about $25,600 in resale value, a loss of $6,400. That's over $530 every month, just in depreciation. Sam was not paying $549 a month for his car. He was losing over $1,400 a month when everything was counted. That is over $16,000 in the first year alone. Not in debt. Not on a payment plan. Just gone. Here is where it gets worse. Sam's loan was 72 months, 6 years. That is the average new car loan term in America right now. In year 1, Sam's car lost 20% of its value. By the end of year 2, it had lost another 10 to 15%. By the time Sam hit the midpoint of his loan, 3 years in, his car was worth somewhere around $18,000 to $20,000. But he still owed the bank roughly $20,000 to $22,000. He was underwater. His car was worth less than what he owed on it. If he wanted out, a new job, a move, a different car, he couldn't sell and walk away clean. He would have to roll the difference into his next loan. A 2024 Edmunds study found that underwater trade-in buyers owed an average of $6,458 more than their car was worth, and that number gets folded silently into the next purchase. New loan, new car, same hole, bigger balance. This is how millions of Americans end up permanently in car debt, not because they keep buying expensive cars, but because the structure of the loan traps the loss inside every new purchase. There's a second force working against you that almost nobody talks about: insurance. Most people think of insurance as a fixed, stable cost. It is not. Insurance companies reevaluate your premium constantly, based on things completely outside your control. Your neighborhood's overall claims rate goes up. Your premium goes up. Repair costs rise across the industry. Your premium goes up. More severe weather in your region. Your premium goes up. The national average for full coverage auto insurance is now around $1,694 a year. A 2024 Consumer Reports survey found that 60% of policyholders had seen their premium increase in the past year, not because they did anything differently, just because the cost of insuring cars in America keeps rising. And here is the trap within the trap. As long as you are financing the car, your lender requires full coverage. You signed up for $140 a month. 3 years later, it might be $185. And you have no exit option until the loan is paid off. The payment and the insurance are locked together. They rise together. Here is something worth understanding about how car buying actually works. Dealerships and lenders do not benefit from helping you understand the total cost. They benefit from making the monthly payment look manageable. This is called payment selling. Instead of focusing on the total price, $32,000, the conversation shifts to, can you do $549 a month? $549 sounds fine. $32,000 plus $8,000 in interest, plus $20,000 in depreciation over 5 years is a very different conversation. But that is not the conversation that happens in the showroom. And there is another layer most buyers never see. When a dealership arranges your loan, they often receive what is called a dealer reserve, a cut of the interest rate markup. The bank approves you at 5%. The dealer quotes you 7%. That 2% difference flows back to the dealership every month for the life of your loan. You never see this line item. It is folded into your payment. So the dealership has a direct financial incentive to put you in a longer loan, at a higher rate, on a more expensive car. Not because it helps you, because it pays them. Here is the number that should stop you cold. Americans currently owe more than $1.64 trillion in outstanding auto loan debt. That is more than the total student loan debt in the country, and it has grown every single quarter for the past decade. Except one. A car feels like something you own. You have the title, you make the payments, it sits in your driveway. But for most of the loan term, you don't really own it. The bank does, and the car is losing value the entire time the bank owns it. You bear the depreciation risk. The bank collects the interest regardless. Here is the counterintuitive part. The people who feel most stuck by car costs are not the ones who bought the most expensive cars. They are the ones who bought new cars, financed them for too long, and repeated the cycle. The exit is not about earning more. It is about understanding which decisions drive the cost and making different ones. So what do you do if you genuinely need a car? This is the part that matters. Because the answer is not buy a beater and hope. It is not take the bus. It is understand what actually drives the cost and make your decisions based on that. Decision 1. Used over new, but not any used car. A new car loses roughly 20% of its value in the first year alone. When you buy a car that is 2 to 3 years old, someone else has already absorbed that loss. You buy in after the steepest part of the drop. The average price of a used car in late 2025 was around $29,600, compared to $47,100 for a new car. That gap in purchase price directly reduces your loan size, your interest paid, and the depreciation hit you personally absorb. The sweet spot most experts point to is a car that is 2 to 4 years old with low mileage, recent enough to have modern safety features, old enough that the first owner took the depreciation hit. Decision 2. Brand matters more than most people think. Not all used cars are equal. Some brands hold their value, have cheap parts, and rarely need major repairs. Others depreciate fast, have expensive parts, and develop problems at 80,000 miles. Toyota and Honda consistently rank at the top for long-term reliability and low total cost of ownership. Models like the Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, Honda Civic, and Honda CR-V have decades of data behind them. They regularly hit 200,000 miles with proper maintenance. They have widely available, affordable parts. That is not a preference. That is a cost calculation. A $22,000 used Toyota Corolla with 35,000 miles will cost you significantly less over 5 years than a $22,000 used luxury car with the same mileage. Not because the Toyota is nicer, because the total cost of keeping it running is lower. Avoid luxury brands used, especially European luxury. The purchase price looks manageable used. The maintenance and repair costs do not. Decision 3. Shorten the loan, not just the payment. If you do need to finance, the loan term matters as much as the rate. Longer loans feel affordable month to month, but they keep you underwater longer, cost more in total interest, and trap you in the cycle. A 48-month loan on a $20,000 used car at 7% costs you about $2,900 in total interest. A 72-month loan on the same car costs about $4,500. That is $1,600 that buys you nothing, just for choosing the longer term. Decision 4. If you live in or near a city, do the math on not owning. This only applies to people in cities with reasonable transit or car share infrastructure, but it is worth running the numbers honestly. Zipcar data shows their members spend roughly $184 a month on transportation, compared to over $1,000 for a car owner. Services like Zipcar, Turo, and similar platforms let you pay for a car only when you actually need one. You do not pay for depreciation. You do not pay for insurance 365 days a year. You do not pay for maintenance. If you drive fewer than 10,000 miles a year and live somewhere with reasonable alternatives, the math often favors not owning at all. This is not practical for everyone. Rural areas, long commutes, families with kids, ownership makes sense. But for someone in Chicago or Boston or Los Angeles who uses a car 2 or 3 times a week, ownership may be the expensive default they never actually questioned. Sam eventually figured this out. A year and a half into his loan, he looked up his car's resale value and saw a number thousands lower than what he still owed. He had done nothing wrong. He was just inside a structure that worked exactly as designed, extracting the maximum from the people who understood it the least. The decisions that reduce car costs are not complicated. Buy used. Buy reliable. Shorten the loan. Question whether you need to own at all. None of those require earning more money. They require understanding that the sticker price was never the real number, and that the system was not designed to help you see that. Most people feel stuck with their car costs. They don't realize the feeling started in the showroom, the moment the conversation shifted from the price to the payment.